There have been a handful where I've just wanted to douse the theater in gasoline and light it on fire, and I don't care if I make it outside.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Call Time a Theater Pod, where every role in theater matters. This is the space where we can laugh, learn, and sometimes call out the chaos. So sign in on the sheet, cause it's call time. Okay, everybody, so my name is Marisa Helene Mast, and I am your hostess with the mostest. And today, I literally said this right before we started filming. These are two of the coolest people I think I've met. No offense to everybody else that I've ever met, but like immediate connection. And I think that's the magic of theater. And just the fact that we're both, like all three of us are like equally stressed all the time. And we understand why. I would love to introduce to you, Jenn and Greg Crafts. Hey guys, how are you today?
Hello.
We're great. How are you doing?
We're good.
Stressed.
We have 4 shows happening this weekend, all in 3 different spaces. No, wait. 4 in one, and then 2 and 2 others. Yeah. I'm supposed to be running 2 of them at the same time. I don't know how I overbooked myself like
We'll
this.
figure it out.
It's a little nuts.
Y'all are my heroes, I swear.
Yeah.
Speaking of all the things that we're doing, let's take a look at what's going to be happening on today's show, shall we?
Like, hey, I remember your show. You asked me about mine. You're so nice. High five. Like, I was like,
what's the from Planet of the Apes? Apes together, strong.
They were like, well, there's your space. And I went, there are people literally walking upstairs right now to like get dialysis. This is crazy. Wasn't that great?
That was amazing.
Oh, Future Us is so brilliant. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, what are the awards for podcasts now? I mean, besides an Emmy, but there's like specific for
the potties.
Yeah.
The potties.
If that wasn't
I
a
have
thing,
no
it
idea.
should be now. Absolutely. There you go. $1 billion idea. Take it
It is
out.
written. Make it so. Our idea. We get 51% of the company. I have a question for both of you before we get into all of this. It is in my heart of hearts that I believe that there is good theater cringe and bad theater cringe. And I would love to know what each of you would put in those categories. Oh, yeah.
So I was thinking this on the way here. So we had some really good theater cringe. Sometimes good theater cringe can be marketing.
Yes.
Yes. Years ago at Hollywood Fringe, we did a show called 25 Plays Per Hour. We've done that several times. It's 25 itty-bitty plays in an hour. It's easy to market.
Different lineup every time we do it. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
But we're ridiculous. And so we wanted to do this like publicity stunt. And so we did a 25-yard marathon.
Complete with a water station at the halfway point.
Like the numbers, but every number was 25 because it was the logo of the show. And then we were like, and everyone had to like run in slow motion. And it was literally just outside of it was outside the theater.
It was outside of our venue, and literally the finish line was the start of the box office. Yeah.
And so
amazing.
We made it this huge deal, but we were really, really serious about it. Like, you got to get your medal, you got to get your water.
We gave medals.
And like everyone had to like run, but slow motion. And
the festival had these mascots called the Freaks at the time, and it was these
like bodysuits with
with these crazy helmets. And there were 6 of them. They were all different characters. They sent 3 of the Freaks to run.
They all joined in.
Like, they all joined in. It was like people bought it. So it wasn't just like us being like, oh, we're so clever. No, people actually like ran this thing seriously. People showed up in sweatbands and
total cringe, but really good cringe. And we sold out the show.
Yes.
Because everyone was like, this is awesome. You guys are cool.
That's incredible. That's actually incredible.
And then my bad cringe is anytime you are like either embarrassed or worried about the people on stage. Right. So, and the best example that I have of that is here. And this is very timely because they just had the Oscars. So in the theater, when they do the Oscars, it's not the only thing they do all year. They have other things going on. But we saw the most epically horrific production of A Christmas Carol. And it was starring a bunch of celebrities. Like it was. And okay,
it wasn't their
fault.
What wasn't more telling was the number of celebrities that were still in it. It was the number of celebrities who had been cast originally and had dropped out before it opened. That was telling.
So it was. This was a long ago. I want to say like 2013, 14. Around there.
It was Yumi, Aaron, and Darcy though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And so so starring Christopher Lloyd, love. Like he was Scrooge.
Amazing.
Christmas present.
Jane Leeves was Mrs. Cratchit. Like, I mean, big celebrities at the time.
Okay.
Right? And they all did a great job. We will say that. We love them. But the tech was literally falling apart as the show was going on. In every single blackout, you could hear power tools.
Every blackout, every scene changes, and you could hear power tools, and you could hear like people trying to figure stuff out on the fly. And the part when Scrooge comes out and sees Marley and the door knocker, there's just a door. They roll out this platform with a stairs and a doorway on it, and whoever set it in the darkness forgot that they left the front door wide open on the flat. So Christopher Lloyd comes out and he sees it and
he
just
doesn't know what to do.
Stops, looks at it for a minute, sighs, and then keeps walking off stage. Just walks directly off into the other wing.
And then they didn't cut his mic after he went off, and there was something clearly wrong. They didn't cut his mic, and so 3,000 seats just hears, "The door is open."
And then the lights just go down.
And then there's more power.
Yeah.
This went on the whole night.
The whole night.
Nonstop. Like
the kids from Christmas Present.
Oh my God, they almost got killed.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yes. Like the children underneath Christmas Present's cloak, the children of famine and everything. Yeah.
A scrim was supposed to come down slowly, like a scrim comes down. It just fell. Like they were running out and it just went whoa. And
like they went right into it.
And these poor little kids who were totally in character and great, they just like stood there and like looked creepy. But like
and John Goodman's like, what the hell? Where are they? And then he sees the scrim and he's like, and just turned back around and just like redoubled on the bit. And I'm just.
And he also had a cornucopia as Christmas present with like fruit and stuff.
Plastic fruit.
Falling off.
And making that tunk sound. No, the worst was Christopher Lloyd at the end.
Oh poor Christopher Lloyd. We love
Doc Brown did not deserve this. All right. Doc Brown did not go back to 1883 to save Martin. He didn't deserve this. He did not deserve this. The man's a goddamn American hero. But he
at the end he's supposed to like fly. Right?
He's supposed to be like after Christmas. After Christmas Future puts him back, he's falling through space. You could tell that there's supposed to be all this fog and everything happening. Well, Christopher Lloyd throws himself to the floor. And then nothing happens.
And he's just like
flailing and falling and doing this. And there's supposed to be fog and there's supposed to be lighting.
And
nothing happens. And at one point, he just looks around, kind of shrugs, and then just keeps going. And then gets up, kind of just gives it a "seh" and leaves. And then he starts just throwing the top coins out into the audience.
Yeah,
because he's just like Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Oh my God.
So anyway.
I'm losing my mind right now.
This was the biggest clusterfuck we have ever seen on stage.
And it was at the Dolby Theater.
Where they do the
Oscars.
Yeah.
So there you go. Big shows are not always necessarily the best ones.
2/3 of the audience cleared out at intermission, but we stayed because we felt like we have to be here for solidarity. Like they're going through it. And if they're going to suffer through it, like my God, we can't let them do it alone.
So when
we felt responsibility.
We did. So when tech goes wrong in your small theater, just think of the theater where they do the Oscars. Happens there too.
I'm actually crying.
It was horrifying. It was kind of funny. You're like, oh my God, like someone's in danger.
And then 2 weeks later, we got an invitation to come back because they said they fixed it.
We did not come back.
We did not come back.
What? That is.
There you go.
Like. I can't even begin to explain how extraordinary.
Some rich person's passion project. The person who did the adaptation of the script and produced it also directed it, and this is the first thing that they'd ever directed or produced.
And they just celebrities.
They just
I don't know how they did that.
They had a shitload of money. That's how they did it.
Welcome to Hollywood.
This is how we do it on the West Coast, folks. Yeah.
It makes me feel a little less intimidated, honestly. What a wonderful transition into
No.
Truly, Queen, about what it is y'all do And so the topic overall is we're talking Fringe today. And I'm not just talking about the fabric that I really like. We're going to talk about Fringe festivals because that's like y'all's bread and butter and full smorgasbord at this point. Before we get into the deep dive element of this, I have a nice little hot take that was sent to me about Fringe that I would really love to discuss with both of you. So it has been argued that the major Fringe festivals, specifically Edinburgh, have become very over-commercialized, attracting already established acts rather than underground work or like edgy, cool, new stuff. How would you respond to something like that in terms of Fringe being over-commercialized?
In terms of commercialization, like I think the Edinburgh Fringe is different than any other Fringe. It really is. I mean, to put it in perspective, I think we're going to have 500 shows this year in Hollywood. I think it'll be the biggest ever. Edinburgh has 4,000 at least.
Yeah.
It's insane. But I do think that like, obviously everyone wants to like succeed at Fringe. And what I always say to my clients, people that are touring our venues, especially first-time producers, I always ask them like, well, you want to decide what you want to get out of Fringe because you get out of it what you put into it. Now, Greg is a playwright and we've premiered several of his shows at Fringe and those have since gone on to get published. So like that's a really good reason to do Fringe. Get your show out there, get some feedback on it. You can get immediate feedback with reviews and things like that. But in terms of like what's commercially viable, I think it really depends on the show or on the Fringe that you're doing. So like I think the best example that we've had of that at Hollywood Fringe is when we first became venue managers, we had a space called Studio Stage. And we called ourselves on the fringe of the fringe because we were on the very edge. In Hollywood, in Edinburgh, it takes over the whole city. In Hollywood, it's like a square mile or like mile and a half now.
For the longest time, the joke about Fringe was it was just artists passing around the same $20 bill. And that has grown.
Yeah.
But that's how it was for a very long time when it first started out.
But like, so when we first became venue managers, we were like, okay, we want to be a Fringe venue, but we think that we need to anchor it with something that's very commercially viable because it was a further out venue and we were afraid of people not going out there to see shows. So we figured we put something really big there to entice everyone to come out and see the other shows that were there.
Yeah, because back then, Theater Row was still a thing in Hollywood, and now there was like 8 theaters all within, like a 8-block wide stretch of Santa Monica Boulevard, and now all but 2 of them are gone. Thanks, pandemic. But so, yeah, we decided to anchor with the Spidey Project, which actually started in New York at the Magnet. That was Justin Moran and company, the Compass Theatricals. They gave us the rights to the West Coast premiere of that back in 2012, which we did at Studio Stage. And then in 2017, we did a remount with Justin and a lot of the original crew who had moved out here to LA at the time. But
super easy to market. It's a Spider-Man musical.
Spider-Man parody. Yeah, you got to come see it. Yeah.
Right? But then what happened, though, we sold that show sold out before Fringe started. Like, tickets go on sale May 1st. The Fringe usually starts like the first week of June for preview week. And they were gone by the second week of May. And honestly, like now as venue managers, we would have totally added more shows. I don't know why we didn't do that, but
it was our first year running.
But when you're talking about Edinburgh, I think that's a whole other thing. So we went last year. We brought a show that Greg wrote and acted in last year as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. I stage managed it, and it was so like we weren't commercial. We were this little show from LA, and we actually were kind of surprised by the support we got. And we were only there for 10 days, but we had
10 days, 7 performances in 10 days,
and our audiences were building. Like we were so sad to leave because we were like, we're gonna sell out if we're here for another week.
We never had less. We had a 50-seat house. We had never had less than 20 in the house. Most nights we had over 30, and it was growing. And towards the end of the run, I was like, oh man, we never sold out a run. And then I read a statistic that year, the average house size was 4. The average house size was 4, which meant that's the 50.
What?
Which meant that 50% of the performances went up with less than 4 people in the house.
In Edinburgh Fringe, getting a venue is like the Hunger Games. Like that's probably your biggest challenge.
Yeah.
That's something that works.
It's one of those where it's like start in October, start making the inroads months before they even open. Because when I applied middle of January in 2024, we were going to take my show that we took last year in 2024. I applied in middle of January, and the first response I got was, "You're applying too late, mate." And I was like, registration's only been up for a week or two, and they're like, "No, you should have started last year." And we wound up not getting that year.
Yeah.
You know, so we wound up pushing off a year.
So that's something that we're actually going to be working on this year. We're going to Edinburgh this year to basically make connections because we've had actually quite a few people ask us if we could help them produce there. And the first thing that we need to do is really make those connections with venues and with PR people and things like that. So
because a lot of the venues will go with people that they know and they've met before, or they'll go with their regulars. You know, it's one of those where so this is where I understand where the hot take might be coming from, is the fact that especially the bigger ones, the big four, they, you know, in our experience and in talking with them, they have the usual suspects who come in every year, reliable as clockwork, most of the time bringing the same show, and then they have a certain amount of availability for people that they don't know, but they'll usually work with people that they've worked with previously. And I understand that there is a security in that, because Fringe, you know, like the theater community is full of crazies. You know, like, I mean,
crazies and bad.
There's good crazy and there's bad crazy. And you know, I think we could safely say that we've had at least one every year that I'm like, I'm never working with them again. You know, even everybody comes in with the best of intentions, but there's always at least one. And I can understand why working with the regulars is a great way to mitigate the amount of insanity you have to put up with every year. And these guys do it on a scale that's 10 to 20 times the size of what we have.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine.
So I think it's not necessarily a hot take. I think it depends on the festival. I think in Edinburgh, I'd give it a probably, or maybe. That's kind of true.
And actually, I do have, like, in my opinion here, based on, I think that there has to be a certain amount of commercial appeal for the festival to survive and thrive.
Totally get it.
Yeah. I think that there has to be stuff to get people in the door. And there is still plenty of room for the edgy, the unique, the different, the stuff that might be more, you know, limited appeal, more marginalized, more whatever you want to call it. I think there's plenty of room for that. I think that if they're worried about being outshined, they have to really dig deep and figure out what's going to make them unique and stand out, and just work that much harder. And in my experience, a lot of people either are doing a show for the wrong reasons or don't have the introspective capabilities to figure out how to make themselves stand out. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's not.
No.
But you can't complain that it's not a low. I mean, it's a free market, and people are going to want to spend their money to where they want to be entertained.
And you have to engage.
That is one of the biggest things that they have to do. And they also have to go out and go outside of their box and engage with people.
You have to. So at a Fringe festival, if you're an artist at a Fringe festival, you must engage with the rest of the festival. They go out, they talk to people, they are genuinely interested in other people's shows and stories and things like that. No Fringe show exists in a vacuum. If you are part of a Fringe, you're part of a bigger world, but you have to make the effort to get involved in that bigger world. And I think that that's very, very intimidating in Edinburgh, because there's so many people there. It's just, and it's everywhere, and it's in your face, and it's wild. One of the things that is this is like just the culture and the etiquette of different Fringes, but like at Hollywood Fringe, you would think that Hollywood would be very like commercial and in your face, and I'm just using you. No. It's very interesting. In Hollywood, it's very much like you have to make a personal, nice connection with someone. So Hollywood does this great thing where they set up all of these networking events leading up to the Fringe. They call them office hours, where we basically just go hang out in a bar and talk about shows.
I'm down to do that any day of the week.
So
hashtag drinking about Fringe.
Yes. So we do it. We start in March. Should be starting this week, actually. So we start in March. It starts like it's every Wednesday. We just go hang out in a different bar in Hollywood, and it's all coordinated by the Fringe. And so you're just there with like a ton of other Fringers. And he was always really, really good at this. Like our first couple years of Fringe, I was like, I'm scared to talk to people. And he was like, just ask them about their show. That's all you do.
People love to talk about themselves. And if they're not an asshole, they'll when they're done, they'll be like, and what's your show about? That's
it. And like, you can literally just walk up to someone, hey, you got a cool postcard. Tell me about your show. And they're like, oh my gosh. Yeah, totally. And like, we've made genuine connections with people like that.
Yeah.
And in Edinburgh, because it's so overwhelming, because there's thousands and thousands of shows, the culture is throw flyers in people's face as they're going by. flyer, take a flyer.
And it works.
And it does work, like, because that's the culture of it. But it's so funny, though, like, I feel uncomfortable doing that now. So, like, when we were there last year, I would walk up to people who had their flyers, and I'd be like, hey, is this your show, or are you a hired flyer? Because we will hire people to do that. Most people have their own show. And they'd be like, no, this is my show. And I'd be like, great, tell me about it. And the looks on their face, wait, what? And I'm like, standing on the street, like, yeah, tell me about your show. And they're like, oh my God. And like, it was so nice to make those connections that might feel a little bit different because the culture's different in that particular fringe. And then, of course, as soon as I opened my mouth, they realized I was American. So they're like, well, you must be here for a reason. What's your show about?
There is that.
There is that. But like, I mean, we had people later on in the week see us on the street later, just like walking on the street being like, hey, I remember your show. You asked me about mine. You're so nice. High five. Like, I was like, that's so cool. So I feel like that human connection, no matter how big the fringe is, no matter how big the community is still going to be really important. It just takes effort.
Yeah.
So to get through that like commercialization is person to person interaction.
Now, this is the part of the show where we would normally have an ad break, but I don't know if I'll have one yet for this episode. So until then, we're just going to sit here and look at the camera. You can blink if you want.
This is really concerning.
This is really great. I kind of just want to keep going just for the sake of seeing how long I'm going.
Now I'm committed to the bit. This is going to be the whole episode from here on out. I'm not blinking.
All right, and we are back here at Call Time a Theater Pod with Jenn and Greg Crafts, and we are talking all things fringe for purposes that I realize I should have done at the beginning of the show. Would y'all mind explaining what a fringe festival is?
Oh,
yeah,
me, huh?
Yeah, I'll throw it to you.
Yes. Okay, so all fringes work a little bit differently, but in general, a fringe is a curated or not curated
99% of them are non-curated. Yeah.
festival of arts. It's generally theater, but it can be dance and movement, and sometimes it's music and comedy and things as well. But it's a whole arts festival. It usually takes place within a set time, within a set parameter, like geographical parameter. And I call it theater roulette because when you're at a fringe festival and you take a chance on shows, you might see the best thing you've ever seen in your life. Or you might want to die within the first 5 minutes. It's hard to say.
There have been a handful of shows. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of fringe shows. There have been a handful where I've just wanted to douse the theater in gasoline and light it on fire, and I don't care if I make it outside.
Not many, though. Not many.
Yeah, not many.
Both of you personally, what is your overall connection to like theater as a whole?
Well, it's how we met.
It is how we met.
Aw.
Both of our background is acting. I think we both majored in theater.
Yes. How do you not know?
I know that. We always talk about your lighting stuff.
That's true. Yeah, no, I got a BA in theater studies from Emerson with focus in acting and lighting design. And
Yep. And I have a BA in theater and English from St. Olaf College in Minnesota.
what do you do with degree in English?
You become a venue manager.
Yeah.
Or a podcaster.
Basically, we are both actors. We met at a theater company out here in LA, and then we ended up forming our own theater company when that one kind of fell apart
Fizzled,
a little bit.
yeah.
But we had a whole group of friends that we wanted to continue doing stuff with. So we were like, well, we're basically doing everything at this company anyway. Why don't we just make it official and just make our own? So in 2008, we ended up forming our company, which is called Theater Unleashed, because we were unleashed from the company that it's a relic of a name.
It really is. Yeah.
From there, we ended up we were sort of thrown into producing because no one else wanted to do it.
I think part of the reason why our theater company had a lot of struggles was because we had a lot of people with some really big ideas, but everybody would rather go to the bar and party and drink rather than actually
or just do fun stuff, like
do the fun stuff
instead
of doing the work, because the work is hard.
Yeah,
for
sure.
And
No.
not fun.
But basically we had full seasons that we were running. We would do like 8 to 10 full productions a year. And there was all kinds of highs and lows and drama having to do with that.
But pre-COVID theater.
Oh, so
wow.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in 2016, the manager of a venue that we had rented from for many, many years, he came to us and he said, hey, I'm going to be retiring in the next couple of years. Would Theater Unleashed like to buy my business and take over the venue? And I mean, at that point, like, yeah, we were doing shows and stuff, except, it was pulling teeth to even get people to volunteer to like build a set. So they can't run a whole business. Like that's just a whole other thing.
And to be fair, in defense of everybody else,
oh, they're lovely.
I mean, these are our friends that we're slagging on here. No. We were asking for volunteer labor. Everybody in LA is always busy. They've always got their own hustles. We understand that, but we noticed that over time, fewer and fewer people, there was an entropy to it, and it was always very tough to rally people to do the hard part of making theater.
But we also, we'd also be the ones who were there until 4 a.m. covered in like glue and paper mache.
And then we wind up at Denny's together crying and saying that we were never going to do theater again.
Literally happened.
I can think of that like, oh, that happened like every Tuesday for about 2 years. I understand.
Like what theater artist hasn't been like, I'm never doing this again? And then the show opens and you're like, this is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah. Theater magic, y'all.
I know. But anyway, so it was like 2015, 16. He asked us to take over his business and we just said, Theater Unleashed cannot do that. There's no way. And I just said, wait, what if we bought his business? What if we run it? And we were like, that's crazy. We're theater actors and producers. Like, what do we know about running a venue? But like, we essentially had been running venues, not as rental spaces, but like as our own venue for several years. And so
we had a space that we were renting for Theater Unleashed that we were the resident company at. And
we were programming that. So we were like, wow, let's do it. And my parents are wonderful and amazing. And my dad is an entrepreneur as well. And so he's kind of our like business advisor and he helped us out in terms of like buying all of the stuff. Then in, January 2017, we took over that first venue. We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah, January 1st, we signed the lease, got handed the keys, and he said, good luck, have fun.
But the crazy thing about that, though, is that the plan was that I was going to continue my job because I had a work from home job. So I was like, okay, I'm going to stay there. Obviously, we need income as we're spinning up this business. Greg will keep driving for Uber and Lyft. We're going to spin up this business. Who knows when it'll make money, right? And then we took over in January 1st, 9 days before Christmas. Previously to that, he was in a car totaling accident.
I got hit head on by a stolen car on Western Avenue in the middle of the night. Yeah. When I was driving home, didn't have any riders in the car.
Oh
I was driving home and a stolen car comes racing down the street, hit me head on. I walked away. My car was destroyed.
Wow.
I walked away. So big props to Hyundai for building a car that could handle a head-on hit.
Yeah.
The other car hit a tree and burst into flames. I got away light comparatively. So yeah.
Oh my God.
So he lost his car and his job in 1 second. And then we happened to be producing a production of It's a Wonderful Life. And this is a side story, but it's so beautiful. We happened to be doing Wonderful Life. And I said, at one point I just had this idea. I was directing that one. And I said to the cast, do you guys think there's any way we could George Bailey Greg up a car for Christmas? And they were all like, hell yeah. And so for 9 days, we scrambled and I blocked him on like all social media. I did. And we secretly raised about like $4,000, which is not a whole lot, but enough to get him a really used car that I had in the garage on Christmas morning, and it was amazing. It was
wow, I'm actually going to cry right now. That is oh my God.
It was 127 people in the theater community, including some pretty decently big names at the time. Our theater community though came together. But that car was absolutely needed for this new business because then we took over this venue, and then January 11th, I get a call from HR in the company that I work in. They're like, hey, so I know you guys have all been working from home since the moment you started, but we just got new offices in Phoenix. So unless you want to move to Phoenix, which you're welcome to, we're cutting all work from home. So then we were venue managers.
And everything aligned the way that it needed to in the weirdest fucked up way possible.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah, it was crazy and it was really scary and it was really, I was literally jumping without a net. But like, so that was January. We knew we wanted to be a Fringe venue. Fringe was in June. I think that year we had 23 or 24 shows booked in that venue. And we were so worried because it was a little further out than most Fringe venues. We were really worried that it was going to like crash and burn. No, it was fine. It was great.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's our LA theater story.
So, fun fact for all those watching and listening, in case I haven't made it clear, I'm an East Coast based person. I have actually never visited the West Coast. For my friends who live out in LA specifically, they've told me stories here and there about the LA theater scene and how it's essentially non-existent. And so I was going to say, would you explain briefly the LA theater scene to me, an East Coaster, and for anybody else who may genuinely be unaware of there being an actual theater scene in LA?
Yeah, so there is an incredible, robust, and exciting theater scene happening in LA. I think when people think theater, they think Broadway level. And we have we have like 2 major companies that have big Broadway houses that are producing things that aren't just Broadway tours and that are like LA centric productions. So when you look at it at that level, that's very small. And then there are the Broadway touring houses. There's the Pantages. There's, the Montalban, a few other theaters that are the Broadway size that bring in the tours. So yeah, there's not much of that there. And there's only 16 off-Broadway level companies in LA. So, you don't even have a very big scene for that. I don't know how many there are off-Broadway companies and venues in New York, but in LA, it's a pretty small scene. And you also have to remember that we're not 13 miles long and 5 miles wide. We are a 70 square mile city that is basically lots of little towns that kind of just grew into each other. So this is a car. Everything is very, very spread out. But and also California ranks really low in terms of public support for the arts and arts funding. And also those 2 big ass companies at the top get over 80% of that funding. And then the 15, 16 off-Broadway companies get like the next 15 to 18%. And then the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of small companies in LA that make up the 99 seat and under scene, which is the bread and butter of the LA theater scene, get like that very small fraction of that small funding.
Most of them look like this.
And
like
most of the venues are like 50 seaters that are formerly storefronts. But you have, and of course in LA, for the longest time, the focus was on TV and film. That's what people come out here to do. Theater was always considered to be the redheaded stepchild. There was a joke in SAG where if you told your agent that you were doing a play, they'd go, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like that was the impression that they got. But here's the thing: throw a rock and hit 20 writers just outside the front door here, and hundreds of actors. You have an incredible group of talented people here that want to do stuff, and theater is so much cheaper and easier to do than producing a film right now, especially when it comes to cost and effective return on your investment. So as a result, a lot of people will pour their passion into theater, and you will see some really great, incredibly well done renditions of classics and new standards, but there's all kinds of incredible original work that goes up here and then goes elsewhere to blow up and become famous. So you can actually see the prototyping happening here in LA in these hundreds of small companies, in these, dozens of 50-seat black box theaters. A lot of these folks come together at the Fringe every June. And it's just, for lack of a better term, it's an orgy of incredible new work, and artists come together to just do amazing stuff. So there is a vibrant and smart and exciting theater scene in Los Angeles. It's just at the small level. We have Mary Chieffo from Star Trek Discovery doing a solo show here at Bard Fest next month. She's doing all of Shakespeare's women in the show, and it's just an incredible thing that's happening. You will see, like, Ed Asner was a big part of the LA theater scene for the longest time before he passed. Kirsten Bagnes from Criminal Minds.
She did a Fringe show last year.
She's done a Fringe show multiple times. She's a big Fringe person. Josh Brolin, Academy Award winner Josh Brolin, was in a Hollywood Fringe show 1 year for one night only.
Brendan Hunt.
Brendan Hunt from member of Sacred Fools Theater Company, and actually has done multiple solo shows here. And his original play, Absolutely Filthy, which is a Peanuts parody, won Top of the Fringe in 2013. It was a 2.5 hour long show that won Top of the Fringe.
I have seen him hula hoop naked, like feet from not expecting that.
Yeah.
Sir,
Coach Beard hula hooping naked. Yeah, that's something that happened.
Yeah. That's absolutely incredible. I'm learning so much period. And I really appreciate just knowing that this exists on the West Coast, because I know that there are plenty of stigmas attached to West Coast theater, East Coast theater, but specifically Fringe. Okay, there are stigmas attached to Fringe festivals. Yeah. What are some stigmas that you feel are more true than people think and ones that are not true?
I think one that is not true is that all Fringe theater is crap. I think I think that's absolutely a stigma. I think you will see a lot of people, you have to realize that the Hollywood Fringe bills itself as a free to fail environment. So there are a lot of first time theater makers. There's a lot of people who have never done theater before, who are trying to do things. There are people who've never produced theater before, which in itself is an art form and a whole thing that I think goes very under respected. It's incredible.
Future episode.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know just like what it takes to put up a show, but they throw themselves into it. And the Hollywood Fringe does a fantastic job at providing infrastructure and guidance and mentorship and resources for people who have never done this before, because everybody wants to see you succeed when you become part of the Hollywood Fringe. Everybody's rooting for you. There's a whole community there that you're going to be a part of that wants to see you succeed. So and yes, you know what? There's a lot of bad theater that happens at Fringes. There's a lot of bad theater that happens in general.
All over.
And
the Dolby Theater.
The Dolby Theater. The number of bombs that have happened on Broadway. There's theater is, as long as theater exists, there's going to be bad theater. But you can see things that are new, that are different, that are experimental, that have never been done before. You can see things while they're still being formed. You can see like incredible versions of shows that will then be changed and modified based on the feedback that you give them. You can see stuff that's being prototyped. You can see stuff that's being polished. There are a couple of shows that have happened at the Hollywood Fringe that went on to win the ovations, which were the LA versions of the Tonys. You take the good with the bad, but there's a lot of incredible stuff that happens. A lot of really thought-provoking, interesting, funny, daring work. You have to just be willing to take a chance. It's theater, it's theater roulette. Yeah,
it is.
Take a chance.
Yeah.
What you might see might be a pile of garbage, or it might be one of the most exciting and innovative things you've ever seen.
And the good thing is that
or the best garbage.
Yeah, totally. Or the best garbage. And,
totally. Yeah. The good thing is the most Fringe shows are under 90 minutes. So like,
most.
Most.
Yeah.
Most.
All of them list their times. That's the important thing. So you have to decide how deep you want to go. But there's truly some brilliant and exciting work going on, and it's not hard to find.
Yeah, I think that's honestly my favorite part about Fringe as a whole is like there's literally something for everybody in every sense of the word.
Yes.
And you get to see the creative process in its real rawest form as well. And that's not something that people can normally get a chance to experience ever, because I feel like, at least from my own experiences I've been in a few Fringes, I've gone to Fringes, the audiences tend to be like, well, this is where I feel like it's the only chance I get to see theater because I'm not involved. So I get to kind of like, it's like the education. This is where a lot of the education begins for people, which is why I really love that there's like incredible shows, but there's also shit, because it means that they can actually understand that there's two sides to this as well. Like we as performers, we're either really, really aware of how good or how shit it is, or we're not aware and we're going to do this anyway because we have the opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of it. And so obviously, from filming today and just from speaking with you in general, you two are very passionate about what you do and very passionate about Hollywood Fringe and managing these venues to make sure that shows are seen. So like, what motivated you specifically to focus in on Fringe, though?
I think for me, especially, is the community. Like, the community of particularly of Hollywood Fringe is so good. And I think that LA can be a very lonely place if you haven't found your community, and Hollywood Fringe like creates it. Like, they do everything they can to make these networking. I say networking events, but that sounds so corporate and gross. Like, go find your friends.
The cool hangs.
Cool hangs. This year they're even doing some fun things where they're doing like hikes. Like, they're like, we're going to just go hang out in Griffith Park and like take a hike with a bunch of theater people and chat.
Cool.
How cool is that? And so,
yes, I want that.
Yeah, it's awesome. So the community is really, really great. Also, I love the fact that like people who have never produced before and people who are expert producers can do Fringe and you're all kind of like on the same level, right? In fact, started an initiative in our venues because we were like, well, we sort of want Fringe all year. And let's be honest, like after COVID especially, so it used to be that like someone would come in and be like, hey, as a venue manager, they'd come in and say, hey, we want to rent your venue for 8 weeks for this giant run of a 50-seat venue show. That just doesn't happen anymore. They just don't. Like, people don't have the money to do that. It's too much. So we'll get people who are like, hey, I'm doing like one weekend of a show, or I'm doing, one night screening or something like that.
Can we do a door split?
We just, I mean, like, and like, we just can't sustain that. Like,
this is $4,000 a month here. We gotta pay that rent. We gotta dance like the rents do,
Yeah, because it is. So it's, and like, and people want these small venues and they need these small venues, but like, we also have to keep the lights on, and like eat stuff. So one of the things that
I'm a hungry boy.
One of the things that we have started, last year is because we were like, we need Fringe all year, not only for us as venue managers, but also for the community, because producers are looking for low point of financial entry opportunities, right? And so we started this initiative where we do mini festivals all year, and they're genre-based festivals. So we're programming our own stuff, so they're curated, but real loosely. Like we have auditions today actually for a show we're producing at Bard Fest, which is
starting in 30 minutes. These callbacks.
Gotta go.
So.
I gotta get. Hold on, I gotta go. I gotta get there.
Yeah, we're doing a show called Breaking Bard, which is
Breaking Bad. It's all 6 seasons of Breaking Bad done in verse in 60 minutes.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So we actually got that show
started
from
at Hollywood
Fringe.
It was 2015. The Porters of Hell's-Gate, one of one of Hollywood's classical companies, under 99. Gus Krieger wrote it and premiered it in 2015, and he played Sir Walter of Albuquerque, and they did an absolutely brilliant job. So the first time we're doing Bard Fest, I was like, I got to do that show. So I emailed Gus, and he's like, absolutely.
But like,
send me the
that's
script.
such a great Fringe connection, right?
Yeah.
Someone we met 10 years ago that we can go, or 11 years ago, that we can go, hey, we saw your show 11 years ago. It's awesome. We want to put it on again. And he was like, yeah, here you go. Yep. Like, what an amazing Fringe connection, right? But like, yeah, so we started doing these genre-based festivals.
Shout out to Under St. Mark's and the Frigid Crew, because we're totally binding on their model. Yeah, no, that they inspired us. They inspired us with it, because we did their New York Fringe last year, and like I was looking at them and their business model the year before, and I was like, this is smart.
Yeah,
and
it really, I mean, not only does it give opportunities to small producers, because they're only doing like 3 to 7 performances. We have a door split option for them, so you can get in at really low cost, do your show, and then we have our own ticketing system as well. So like, we'll handle all of that. Greg is a designer. He handles all the design. He runs the shows. I do front of house. Like, we just try to make it as seamless as possible for the producers, where they can just come in and just do their show. Now, that's a little bit different than how we run Fringe, because Fringe is such a monster. Like, during our mini festivals, I think the most shows we've had have been 12 at Frosty Fest, which is our holiday one. But like Hollywood Fringe, just in this venue alone, we have 20 shows already booked, and I've got room for one more.
And we're running 5 venues.
And we're running, so it's hair on fire the whole time. So we can be a lot more chill and lenient about our mini fest, because they're mini. But people have told us they're so happy though that there is this like sense of community and the low financial point of entry for new producers, or producers of all levels, all year round. And they've been doing really well. I mean, we've had sold out shows. We have a resident company now that does 60-minute Shakespeare's. Her shows always sell out. Like, it's great. It's been going really well. And I think that like, that's one of the things that like, and a couple other of those little festivals have popped up in the LA theater community too. There's Solo Fest. There's like a 30-minute festival. So like, this is kind of how LA theater is going right now, I think, where there are,
we're trying to provide low cost, low barrier for entry opportunities. And it's not just us. There are a lot of different organizations that are doing that to encourage artists to be, and to help facilitate artists to be able to be creative, even though everybody's hurting financially right now.
Yeah. But if we all like work together, and that's essentially what we're doing, right? Like, we're all like, if we band together and we put on 10 shows at once, then that's so much cheaper than one show having to pay for like venue and marketing and
Yeah.
everything else that goes into a production.
What's the from Planet of the Apes? Apes together strong.
Absolutely astounding. Alrighty, everybody, it is now time for all of y'all's favorite part of the show. And the only reason I know that is because y'all keep telling me, and by y'all keep telling me, I mean I keep telling myself to increase my self-esteem so I can keep this podcast going. And that is the Green Room Games. I need a jingle really badly. If anyone wants to do the jingle, we should talk. Anyway, so the game that we're doing today is the ever wonderful Show Schmo, which is where we are going to try and stump each other by describing a show in like as weirdly as vaguely as possible in one sentence, and the other person has to guess. So I'm excited. I'm going to pull up my cute little list and choose the best one because I decided to do a theme and choose shows that were at fringe festivals that have since
that's an ocean of options.
I know. Okay, just because this is like an obsession of mine right now. Okay. A girl wants to essentially make her fan fiction nonfiction in the name of love and Spider-Man.
I mean, that just feels like Miss Marvel, but we're not talking TV, so.
It started on the Fringe Festival?
It did.
I'm blanking.
It is currently my favorite play, which is I'm Gonna Marry You, Tobey Maguire.
Oh, I don't know that
I
one.
haven't heard this one.
Oh my god, I get to introduce you guys to a new play. That's amazing. Okay,
Smart.
It started at Edinburgh.
Okay.
Excellent.
And came on over, and it's probably one of my favorite things of all time right now, and highly recommend it. As if I don't talk about it enough on this podcast, I'm going to talk about it more. But yeah, so I have the script. I'll send it to y'all. It's great.
Please. Twins separated at birth wind up swapping identities by accident, and then each falling in love and ending up with happily ever afters. And there is a whole problematic subplot line about torturing a servant.
Shakespeare.
I mean,
I was like, I think I might know what it is.
Yeah, take a stab.
I was gonna say, is this 12th Night?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the swapped at birth, twins separated, and everything. That's about like 4 of Shakespeare's. So. But, yeah.
And other things, but like I directed 12th Night, so I think I know it.
Yeah, the yellow stockings cross-gartered, and how the psychological torture of the manservant is. While funny, problematic, so yeah.
Here, I've got one that started a tiny venue. You're going to know it because I'm obsessed right now.
Okay.
A dead guy saves the world.
The dream I had last night. Dead guy saves the world. Oh my god, for some reason I'm like Toxic Avenger?
Oh, close.
It's currently on Broadway.
Oh no, I'm the fakest Broadway fan in all of this side of the Mississippi. No, Dead Guy Saves the World. Dead Guy Saves the World.
Operation Mincemeat.
Oh my god, yep. It was right on. I was like,
So
is it
good.
that? I don't know. So good though.
What I love so much about that show, I mean, I love the show. It's so good. But what I love so much about it is the lore, because it started at London Fringe in like a 80-seat venue and just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then Jack Malone, who just won Tony.
Yes, shout out to Jack.
Right? He met that troupe at Edinburgh Fringe because he didn't know what to do with his life. And so he just went to Edinburgh Fringe and like watched as many shows as possible and then got to see them, the creators of that show. But they weren't doing that show. They were doing something else. But he just really liked their vibe. So he started just stalking them online. And he's a graphics designer. And so every design that they put out, he put out something better and was like, hey, do you want to use this for your show? And they were like, okay. And so then when they had to do auditions for one role in Operation Mincemeat, he showed up and they were like, you're the graphics guy who's been stalking us online. You're cool. They ended up casting him. He just won a freaking Tony.
Yup. Truly. It's the love story for the ages.
I know, I love it so much.
It's one of my favorite things.
I know. I just saw that in January, and his bio in the program is probably my favorite bio I've ever seen. His bio on the Broadway production just said,
Cut it.
Hey, you there. If you're watching this right now, you're seeing someone fulfill their dreams. How cool is that?
literally, I sob every time I think about it. I think we could do this forever, but for the sake of time, we're going to say thanks so much for playing the green room, guys. So now what I would love to do is turn this right over to talkback time, which is where I ask you, the audience, to respond to a question that I put on our socials pages, which is our Instagram, our Facebook, our TikTok, our Threads, and anywhere else that I could be posting things. All of these things will be in the description box below. And if you just, go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and punch that notification bell, you'll be able to keep up with all of the shenanigans, which there are so many. And I appreciate it so much that you are here. Very, very much. The question that I asked all of you out there today is, I want to know what experiences you've had at Fringe, the only at Fringe, or just a really cool or weird thing that you have seen. And I want to thank everybody so much for writing in and letting me know about some of the most interesting experiences I think I've ever read about. The first one here is from our good pal, Sean. Hi, Sean. Who says that, as expected, I expected a lot of answers to be like this, to be honest, Jenn and Greg. It was a one-man show. That was just a good old wacky one-man show. How many one-person shows do you think you get per festival?
Well, let's see. Depends. So it's the biggest. It's definitely the biggest category at Hollywood Fringe. But I'm looking right now at the shows that are booked in this venue. I think 4 or 5. I have 5 out of 20 currently booked in this one venue, which actually is a pretty small amount. But
that's
in general,
not bad.
Yeah. In general, though, the percentage, I think solo shows is the biggest category, followed by, probably wrong, but I think drama or two-handers. Honestly,
okay.
The more people you have, the more expensive it is, right?
The next one I have here is from Al. Hey, what's up, Al? Who says, saw a show that was a weird musical that took place in a psychiatric hospital that absolutely got everything wrong about what it's like to be at a psychiatric hospital. And they claimed that it was all in the name of mental health. And I have to say, because I know who this person is that wrote in, I also saw that show. And it was incorrect in a lot of ways. But I feel because we were invited to the talk back afterwards, the creators didn't seem to be too receptive to what we were all critiquing, because we had questions and there were some things that they promoted that were a little harmful.
Ooh.
And so just as a quick little question, is there a vetting process when it comes to choosing shows?
At Hollywood Fringe, it is technically uncurated. But if there is something that's like a big red flag, right? And generally that means if it goes against the Fringe Code of Conduct. If it's just like a not great show, whatever, it's fine, right? But if there's something that like is, this is maybe not super great. Like a couple years ago, there was someone who was like unaware that it was maybe not okay for a white person to play a person of color, like unironic. Well, or not even at all.
It was like in a bioplay or something.
Like it was kind of in a bioplay.
It was like very
like it was, and it wasn't just like casting was wrong. It was like specifically a white woman playing a black woman. Like. So that's not great. So and I think the venue might have seen that going on and being like, we're going to have some issues here. And so the festival director, and they are really good at like nicely being like, hey,
let's have a conversation.
Let's chat about this. And then it turned out that the director or whatever was like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. We're going to fix it up. No problem. And it ended up to be okay.
If it's something that could be coming across unintentionally as hateful or wrong,
but
if it's intentionally hateful or wrong, get the fuck out.
Yeah. But it has to be extreme though. Like it really does.
Yeah.
So
one actually, I'm going to choose this one because this literally just came in, and I love somewhat live. This isn't live. This is from Joe. I saw a show that took place in the corner of a hospital waiting room. Whoa. And I saw the girl get hit in the face with a baseball bat, and she dropped to the floor really. Oh my God, wait, Joe, this is the show that I was in. Joe, you're literally writing about the show that I was in. Okay. So I was like, wait, hospital waiting room for quick. It was, even though they are still convinced to this day that I was actually hit with this baseball bat. I was not.
It's just compliment.
It's because I was in stilettos, and I was in stilettos in a full floor, like to the floor gown, and I just get hit, and it's just I have to aim my head for a pile of laundry.
Oh my God.
That is the only cushioning I have, because otherwise it's just tile floor and a little piece of carpet. Safety, which is another episode. But yeah, it was very interesting because we were literally in the corner, like shoved into a corner of a hospital waiting room.
Whoa.
Wow. And they were like, well, there's your space. And I went, there are people literally walking upstairs right now to like get dialysis. This is crazy.
That's wild.
The last one I have here, actually, oh yeah, it's from me. So I saw a Fringe. Love her. She's my #1 fan. I saw a piece at a Fringe festival where it was just two people seated at a table eating sandwiches, not talking, just eating. Well, I would say the first 10 minutes was them making the sandwiches. And then the rest of the show was them eating the sandwiches. And then the show ended with them throwing up the sandwiches into garbage cans that they had with them. And the only line of the show was, I think everything expired. Blackout. Done.
Wow.
What?
And the whole show was like, a half an hour. So we're just, and it was a full house.
I've heard of stuff like this where there was one where apparently that there was just a show of a guy who was just sitting in a chair in a rocking chair for an hour, and people sat.
I have always said so about halfway through Fringe or 3/4 of the way through Fringe, at one point you will see venue managers just convening together, and we're like, "How you doing? Are you okay?" And then we all have like battle stories because nonsense has happened, and we are here all the time and whatever. And I've always said that like I want to have a show where, as a venue manager, I just drag a couch onto the stage and I just take a nap. And I just call it nap. And that's the whole show. I'm just asleep.
Yeah.
I love that actually a lot.
Yeah. We actually should.
I will give you money for that.
Yeah.
Because, we always say our motto is we will sleep in July.
Yeah.
Yep. To add to that, I would also say, so that's part 1 of the show. The second part is me coming on, moving the couch around, and I call it MFA. I got my MFA. It's just moving furniture around.
Yes.
Yes.
This is $80,000 worth of education.
Yep, it's my MFA. So with that, thank you to everybody that wrote in for Talkback Time. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I still want to hear from you. I want to know some cool stuff that you have seen at Fringe, or some bad stuff, or some good bad stuff, all of it, because I want to hear from you. And now, Jenn and Greg, believe it or not, we are coming to the end of our time together, which is crazy, wild. Time is a social construct.
True.
And truly. And so what I want to do before we close out is I want to hand this on over to you guys and let us know, where can we find you? What's your business and what's coming up for y'all that we should absolutely know about?
For sure. So our business is The Stage Crafts, because our last name's Crafts. It's real cute.
Oh my God.
So you can find our website if you're looking for a venue at thestagecrafts.com. And we're just The Stage Crafts on all socials. For some reason, my TikTok is the one that the algorithm likes. I don't know why. I'm Jenn Crafts. So you'll see mostly theater, sometimes cats. And
the best.
I know. If you're in and want to see some shows, events, what is it?
Events.thestagecrafts.com for everything going up in our venues.
Awesome. Well, I will absolutely be putting everything on screen as well as in the description box below, so you guys can check them out. Lots of fantastic, great stuff. Jenn, Greg, I am so happy to have had you here today. I'm just so excited for everything that's coming for you guys and everything that you're doing for the theater community and the theater world. But I'm a sentimental person. We all know this. I can go on for hours and hours and hours. So I'm just going to say thank you for all that you do. And I'm looking forward to us doing something at some point together. That would be
100%.
Fantastic.
We're in New York.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll talk. We'll do lunch. It'll be a great time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody for signing in on the call sheet and tuning in to Call Time, a theater pod. My name is Marisa Helene Mast. You are the audience. Bye-bye now.
This podcast was made possible through the support of viewers like you. Thank you.